And welcome back to the Hotlet, where we are looking at the F1 2025 calendar. And for a bit of fun, we are essentially going to judge every track race on that calendar. I mean, obviously we can't judge the exact race because it hasn't happened yet, and I am lacking a flux capacitor. So let's go. I mean, we've got S, A, B, C, D tier. And I've already got a few ideas of what's going to go in the D tier. But round one, we have Australia. Yeah, the Australian Grand Prix. And I am going to put that. It's not normally the best race, but I think this is maybe slightly biased, but I love Australia. And I remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, before Bahrain ruined it all, it was up late at night, early in the morning to watch the Australian Grand Prix, which used to start about 3-4 in the morning, kind of like it did this year. And I've always loved that. I've always got so excited about it. And I think it may be B tier, but because it's the first race of the season next year, I'm going to put it up there in A tier. And I think the changes they've made to the track have really, really improved it. Absolutely. Next up, round two. These were all in all. I don't quite know what's happened. It's like a higgledy-pickledy. But yeah, round two, we've got the Chinese Grand Prix. And I think in terms of a track, I think it's quite good, if I'm honest, the actual track. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's fairly solid. So, like, I'm going to put it B tier. So I think it's, fairly okay, fairly solid. Quite, maybe like slightly more low down on the B tier, but there we go. Next up, we have the Japanese Grand Prix, which has, in the past, been the home of some absolutely fantastic title deciders, albeit it's round 3 next year. And it's still, this goes up in the S class. This goes up in the S class because it's an absolutely amazing track. It can have good races. I mean, it had a fairly interesting-ish race. We haven't had a decent racer for a couple of years, but just purely based on the track and how fast the cars look in qualifying. Yeah, it's up there in S tier. I'm sorry, it really is. Am I being biased? Do you disagree? Comment below, let me know. So, round 4, Bahrain, which does have the potential for some good, solid racing. We've had some really good races in Bahrain. For example, the battle in the desert, 2014, between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. But it can be, because at the moment, testing happens there, and I think it really has. Normally, I'd put it in A. It's normally a bit of a meh when it comes to races, because you kind of like know what's going to happen. But it has produced interesting races in the past. So I'm going to put it's better above China at the moment. A high B tier. China, you go there. A high B tier for round 4 in Bahrain. Okay, where is round number 5? Oh no, I can't find round number 5. Is there a round number 5? It's going to be. I actually can't find round 5. That's slightly worrying, isn't it? Do we even have a round number 5? Ah, yeah, round 5, Miami. Moving on. I'm sorry, Miami. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're going there. You're going there, Miami, because it's a bit of a boring track. To be fair to it, in 2021, had we had Miami, it may have produced an absolutely amazing race. Alas, it was in 2022. It was an okay race. A bit of to and fro between Verstappen and Leclerc. In 2023, Verstappen came from far back. The track's not that great. Sorry, D tier. Lovely place, though. Lovely place. And some corners do look really interesting. When I've raced it on, I think, F1 22 and 23, it's, kind of meh. Average, I guess. So, yeah. So, what is next? Round 5, Saudi Arabia, which gave us an absolutely epic race in 2021, full of controversy. It was the Max Verstappen Lewis Hamilton show, but after that, it's kind of been fairly steady-ish, if I'm honest. So I'm going to go for C, because I don't think it's a really fast track, but it's not that exciting, I don't think. I think borderline dangerous, I think, in parts. Kind of like meh. So, we have round number 6 in Imola. I am going to. It's just the nostalgia here is really, really good, but we haven't had like classics. We had classics in 2005 and 2006. With the older cars, they were a lot more nimble. They didn't have those massive fuel tanks, and they didn't have that horrendous hybrid power unit, which is complicated things. So I still think, I think China can produce a better race, but I think that obviously we have the sad times down at the the old San Marino Grand Prix in '94, but I do think it is going for B between China and Bahrain. Okay, so next up, that's round number 7. We've got round numero 8, number 8, Monaco. Oh, this is going to be a controversial one because I want to put it as a. This is the thing, as a race, it's absolutely horrendous. Maybe unless it rains. As a spectacle, it's absolutely amazing. Qualifying is amazing. It looks fantastic on TV, but it's Monaco. I am. Okay, I'm going to put it on B tier. I get more excited about it than China, even though it doesn't produce as good a race as China. It has, but it has produced more classic races than China. I think simply because China hasn't been around that long. But I think even since China has been around, I think it's still produced more interesting races than. Yeah, so it's going there in B tier. Austria, no, not Austria. It's next round 8. So we want round number 9, which is, see, this is what happens when you don't have them in order. It gets really confusing. But we've got Spain, round number 9. Yeah, average track. I think it's better than Saudi Arabia, but it's kind of like C tier. That hasn't produced too many classics. We had 1996 was a classic. We had that one year, I think in the late 2010s, with Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, where Lewis pitted and passed, pitted as well and did really well. And I think he did that to Max Verstappen as well. I think in 2021, which was quite good. But Mika Hakkinen retiring on the last lap in 2001. But yeah, not the best track it's a nice looking track, but not the best track in the world. So round number 10 is Canada. That is going straight up there. Awesome race. In the past, it has produced absolute classics, but for 2025, and we're judging this, I think, on potentially 2025, I think, yeah, it's up there. I'm going to put it above Australia, but not quite in the S tier, because, yeah, just in case. Yeah. So, round 10, Canada, should be really, really, really good. I love the track. It has the potential to be a really, really entertaining race. So, round number 11 is Austria, which I think Austria is a really good racetrack. You can have really, really good races there. There's a couple of Borfests. This year, next year, yeah, probably Red Bull are going to dominate. We've had Ferrari win in 2022. We've had there was that classic mode with Montoya and Schumacher, last of the late breakers, braking so hard in 2001 that they both took each other essentially out of contention, even not out of the race at the time, but out of contention. I'm going to go for a high B. I think a high B. So yeah, a high B for Austria. Okay, Great Britain, S, because I'm biased. No, I think it's an absolutely amazing track. I think the changes, it's been a bit like Marmite. You either love them or you hate them, but I think it produces really, really good racing, in spite of the fact that it's a really, really fast track. So yeah, S tier there, S tier. Not maybe not quite as legendary as Japan, but it's up there in the S tier, as is this next one. It can produce good races, I think. Also, kind of like Silverstone, but because of the inclement weather, we had a really good sprint race there, didn't we? I think last year. And Max Verstappen has made it boring, but hopefully in 2025 it's going to be closer. So Belgium goes up there. I think Silverstone has produced consistently better races than Belgium in the past. So I'm going for that. Now, round 14 in Hungary. Hungary used to be, I'd normally put it in D tier before they made that changes to the corner. And I think now it has the potential to produce fairly solid races. So I am going to put that Hungary, but it can be a bit boring. It is easier to pass there. So I'm going to put it at the top of the C tier. Maybe that's a bit unfair. Yeah, top of the C tier. So round number 15. Oh look, they're all in order now. Funnily enough, is the Netherlands, which I am going to put up there in between Austria and Bahrain. I think that's a beat it. We had a really good race there last year. I love the track. It is very much an old school track. You make a mistake, you are going to get punished. And the atmosphere there is amazing, especially if you're a Red Bull Max Verstappen fan. Massive thumbs up there. Italy, Monza. It is a legendary track. We have had interesting races there. Not complete classics, if I'm honest. But would I rate it better than the Netherlands? Probably not. But then you've got all that history there. So I'm going to put it in between. Kind of like on the same level as Imola, but better than Imola. Azerbaijan has the potential for really, really good races. But it's more like, it's kind of like a boring street track. If Formula E made a Formula 1 track, that's exactly what it would look like. If they had better engines, etc., and were a bit faster. So I'm putting it in between there because I'm giving it a C. My favourite bit about the track is when they go almost next to that castle, isn't it? When it goes in there and it's really, 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 really tight. Round 18, Singapore. It's not great, is it? It's in terms of it did produce an interesting race last year. It's not guaranteed, but it's fairly solid. So I'm going to put it in between Hungary and C. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Kota gets an A for me. I mean, Kota, I think it's better than Australia. It's better than Australia. I think Kota is a really, really good track. It does makes for interesting races. There's always something to talk about coming out of the American Grand Prix in Kota. The Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Sorry. So I think that's fairly solid. Now in Mexico, I think it has produced interesting races. Not all the time. We've had a title decided there, I think, when Lewis Hamilton won when he beat Sebastian Vettel. But we've had interesting polls. I'm going to go. I think it has the potential. I'd normally get more excited about it than Hungary, so I can put it in the high C. Hungary. Brazil. Okay, Brazil. Yeah, this gets an S as well. It's Brazil reminds me of it's like the Brands Hatch of the Americas, really. When you sit there, it's just in like this bowl, albeit it's a Formula 1 circuit, and I think it has always the potential to have interesting races. Very rarely do we see like 2-3 years in a row and they're all boring. Obviously, you do get the odd year, but I think absolutely. Las Vegas, this is kind of like an outlier. We've only had one race there, but the actual race was quite interesting. But we're just basing it on that one. We're just basing it on that one race. So I'm going to put it possibly slightly higher than Singapore because I think the track layout's better. In the kind of like the high seas. Qatar, I thought was actually I think is actually an interesting circuit. I like it. I mean, obviously we had the curbs and everything. Hopefully in 2025 they're going to have it figured out. So Qatar, I'm going to put it. I want to give it a C, but I think it's better than Las Vegas. So yeah, there we go. It goes in the C. Most of them are in the C's, which are a pass, so to speak. And you, my friend, go right there in the D's because it's an absolutely it's a boring track. It looks okay. It looks nice. It's one of these modern tracks, but meh. No. Abu Dhabi is very much a D. So let's summarise. We've got in the S tier, we've got Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix, Silverstone in Great Britain, Spa in Belgium, and Sao Paulo, the Sao Paulo track, Interlagos, Brazil. Round 10, we got Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. I've probably got that horrendously wrong, but there we go. In the A tier, also joining him in the A tier is the Kota track in Austin and Melbourne in Australia. Now we've got the Red Bull Ring is the first of the B tiers, followed by the Netherlands. Then we have Bahrain, and we've got Monza and Imola pretty much together. Monaco's in the B tier. For me, it's probably just nostalgia. And then China, because I think it can produce okay races. C tier is Mexico, but this is high C. Hungary and Qatar, I think, are fairly solid. Las Vegas, we don't really have that much to go on. Singapore can sometimes be interesting. Azerbaijan is only interesting because it can have a really chaotic Grand Prix, or it's absolutely boring. And we've got Spain and Saudi Arabia filling out that C tier. And the shameful last, probably the two tracks, if they went, I wouldn't miss them at all, is not Bahrain, sorry, it's Miami and Abu Dhabi. So that's pretty much our tier list Hope you thought that was fairly interesting. I thought for a bit of fun. This has been the Hot Lap. If you liked what you've seen, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And anything else, stay tuned for the Hot Lap. Thank you very much.